Hello everyone, welcome to Jennifer's Sewing Creativity. If it's your first time joining my channel, welcome. If you are joining from a previous video or a previous subscriber, welcome back. So in today's video, I'm going to show you how you put your fabric with your stabilizer into your embroidery frame. If you haven't already watched the video on how you prepare your fabric, please refer to that video first. So I'm going to just show you how to do the fabric in the frame. You would think that it's pretty straightforward, but there are a few little tips that are really helpful, and to pay attention to those will assure that you get a better result. In the manual, it also shows that to use the, I forget what this is called, I'm sorry, the embroidery sheet. This is called an embroidery sheet. I do not know how to use this yet, so I'm going to do a little bit more research on this myself before I do anything with it. So I want to be sure that I'm showing you the right way on how to use it before I do that. So using this will be in a future video. The directions in the manual aren't clear enough for me, so I want to make sure that I understand what I'm doing with it. So we will set that aside for now. So like I said in a previous video, I showed you how to prep your fabric. I told you some hints in that video on if you're going to be making an item that is going to be worn and washed often. Pre-wash your fabric before you prep it, because if you do not pre-wash and then you go and embroider on that fabric, and then you were to wash it, your embroidered item would be puckered and shrunk. So you want to go ahead and pre-wash it to ensure the best results. Okay. Also, if you're going to be using it for quilting, also pre-wash all your fabric. And most of my projects that I'm going to be making are going to be for quilting, so all of my fabric is usually pre-washed anyway. I was always told to pre-wash my fabric, so it's just something that comes natural to me. All my fabric, when I do pre-wash it, it is washed, dried on high, and then starched and pressed. So I went ahead and I cut my fabric. I'm using a tearaway stabilizer, and that's what this one is. If you're going to be using a pattern that is more dense, which has a lot of close, thick stitches, say like a patch or anything like that, you're going to want to use a different type of stabilizer. Definitely do your research on which stabilizer is the proper one to use for your project. I do have a video on stabilizers. I don't go into a lot of detail with it, but you can definitely research on what stabilizer is the best for what type of fabric and what type of embroidery that you're going to be doing. This was a sample that I just did, and you can see that it's pretty lacy, and it seems that the tearaway has done really well on that. So I will tear away the stabilizer in another video. We'll see how that does. But we're going to go ahead and get this framed, or the fabric into the frame. So when you get your frame, you're going to see that there are some little arrows here, and that's the top of your frame, and you're always going to want to line these arrows up. So you're first going to loosen your frame. You do not want to force the inner frame out without loosening it, because you can break the frame. Okay, so make sure you loosen it so it's really easy to come out. This part is called your outer frame. This is called your inner frame. This one is called your adjustment screw. What you're going to do is you're going to lay your frame on a flat surface. And my mat is a little crooked there. Sorry about that. Okay, so you're going to want to make sure it doesn't wobble around on you. You're going to take your layered stabilizer and your fabric. In my case, they're just layered one on top of the other. If you are using a fusible, make sure that they have already been fused, that you've ironed them together. If you're using a tacky, sticky stabilizer, make sure that those are, that you've got them down nice and firm. If you are using a stabilizer that you're not sure about, go ahead and do like a basting stitch around it. If you think that it might move around a little bit, that way it just kind of like stays together a little bit better. But if you do your basting stitch, just do it like on the outer edge. Don't do it in the center portion where it might interfere with your design. Okay. So what you're going to do is, don't worry if it just kind of like springs back together, that's okay. You're going to lay it down and make sure your arrow is at the top. And on this one, I kind of put a little too much of the fabric at the top, and you can see when I tried to put it into the frame and I was trying to tighten the fabric, pull it so it's a little more taut, I was kind of ripping it. So make sure that you kind of get enough fabric on each side. I just kind of, and then you're going to take your inner hoop and you're going to make sure you place the part with the arrow, place that in first, and looks like I can pull this down just a little bit, and you're going to place that in first and make kind of like tilt it down in like this, and that makes sure that you're getting it in there firmly. And then you're going to hold it down and press it down into your frame, and make sure, you may have to unscrew it a little more and press it all the way down in, and make sure it's all the way flush inside. Sorry about the shaking of the camera. And this one looks a little better. I'll be able to grab that. And so now you're going to tighten it a little bit, not real tight, but you just want it tight enough that it's going to hold in there. And you can see where it's still kind of, that it's got some puckers in there. So you're going to want to start to pull your fabric so it starts getting a little tighter. Oops, and you don't want to pull up because you're going to pull your frame back out. Kind of like push your fingers down on the inner one as you're pulling the fabric. And it's a trial and error kind of thing. When I was doing this one, how I tore this, and you can see where this is starting to pucker a little bit. This is okay on the outside. You don't want it to pucker or any creases on the inside. So now I'm going to tighten it a little bit more. And you can still see there's some kind of like wrinkles in there. And you're just going to slowly kind of work it around and make sure that they're pulling all of those wrinkles out, and make sure that your frame is still pushed down in there, and you're going to tighten it a little more. I'm not sure why this is. Tighten it even more. And just keep on getting those wrinkles, and it's just as you go along, just kind of keep working them to make sure they're all out, and periodically make sure that your frame is down in there tight, and you're going to want to drum tight. And then keep finger tightening that. And it's still in there nice and tight. And my fabric looks pretty good. And just sometimes when you pull that fabric up, you're kind of pulling that upper frame a little bit. So just keep doing it. Keep making sure it's in there still nice and tight. Okay, so now when you're sure that you've got the fabric in there and it's nice and tight, take the screwdriver that came with your machine and you're going to tighten your frame all the way down. Don't tighten it like super tight where you can't get it back off. But you want to tighten it. See how I'm still tightening? And the reason why you want to tighten it, okay, the reason why you want to tighten it, this is okay. That's okay, because that's not going to affect the pattern. Is because when it's sewing, the vibration could loosen the screw. So make sure that it's tight, okay? So I'm going to adjust the camera, and then I'm going to show you how you put it onto the frame. Okay, so give me just a moment. Okay, so you're going to want to make sure that before you put your frame onto the machine that you have your bobbin loaded. You're not going to be able to access the bobbin once you have the frame on the machine. So you're going to place your frame on your machine now, and you're going to raise the presser foot all the way up, and you're going to just slide it under. And this lever right here, it is really a firm lever. So fold your fabric back this way. If you are attaching the frame with a shirt inside of it, a hoodie, or anything like that that's got a lot of fabric, make sure you watch a video here on YouTube on how to embroider a garment, especially like a hoodie. They will show you how to properly roll the fabric inwards, kind of like, to kind of like form kind of like a tube of the fabric, so it doesn't get caught up in the mechanism or up underneath your needle. I'm not going to be doing clothing items, so I'm going to just skip over that and just recommend that you watch somebody that does garments. So these little pins right here on your frame are going to go right into these notches right here. So you're going to hold this back, and with it underneath the needle, you're going to line those up and just drop them right in and let go of the little lever here. And like I said, this lever is really tight, so be really careful when you do it. It is kind of hard to push back. I'm using a lot of force to put that back. So it's on there nice and firm. Make sure that your thread is through the eye of the foot. And on the next video, I am going to show you how you select your pattern that you're going to sew, and we will start working a pattern. If you have not already subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. Please give it a thumbs up. Like my videos. That lets me know that you appreciate the videos. It lets me know that keep going. Lets me. It just encourages me to make more for you. We'll see you next time. Talk to you then. Bye-bye.